Good morning, everyone. Hello, Mora and Mona and Lily and Tanya. Hello, Ellie and Harada and Sinat and Albi and Wednesday. Hello, Wednesday. And Mies Tai. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is 9:02 a.m. right now here. Hello to the new people. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Just please be patient while we wait for people to arrive. Desktop, save. I gotta clean up my desktop. Okay, if you are wondering what we are going to do today, we are going to be doing this. How could I do that better? I guess just that one. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's make it bigger here for you. All right, this is what we're doing today. It's called Teacher Mark's Chat Room. I am Teacher Mark, and we are going to be talking about this topic. The topic today is books and reading. Okay, and so I have some questions about books and reading, and the point of these questions is to give you a chance to try to express yourself using English, and you should try to use the best English you can, right? So this is not just about what you feel. That's good. Whatever you want to talk about, that's fine. But the point is, if you want someone to listen to your answer, then you need to know how to write it so that people want to listen. Okay? What that means is, if you write it the right way, then I will want to read it. If you just say your, 2 words, that's boring and it sounds lazy. Right? So, if I say, do you like to read, and you just say, yes, or no, what was the point of even answering that? You didn't practice anything. You didn't say anything of any importance. Nobody really cares whether you like reading or not. So the point really is, you're supposed to use that question to practice your English, not just say yes or no. So, say, yes, I like to read because blah, 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 blah. Okay? Give a correct and proper answer if you can. Do your best to use proper English. All right? All right, so first question today. Let's just review the questions. Let's just review, and then we'll get started here in a minute. We still only have 17 people here, so I would like to wait until we have a little more. So let's just review the questions. The first question is, do you like to read? Why or why not? Do you like to read? Why or why not? You know, tell us about it, okay? What's your favorite book or favorite genre or favorite author? Okay? So what's your favorite book? What's your favorite author? What's your favorite genre? Okay? Also, do you think reading is important? Is reading important or not? Why or why not? Okay? And then finally, what is the worst book that you have ever read? What's the worst one? Not the best one, the worst one. And then let's talk about why. All right? Ellie says, yes, I like reading because when I read, I feel peace. It makes me confident, happy. I spend a lot of time in reading. Okay, good. That's a pretty good answer, Ellie. I think that what I would say is that's a good answer, but you need to look at your punctuation, right? So I like reading because when I read, I feel peace, period. Or you could say, I feel peace and it makes me feel confident, comma, happy with a small h, comma. Okay, no, it would be, it makes me feel confident and happy, period. No comma needed. Then you could use a third sentence, I spend a lot of time reading. You don't need to say in reading, you can just say, I spend a lot of time reading. Okay? But that was a good answer. You just need to work on your punctuation. Okay? It was a good answer, you just need to work on your punctuation. Anybody else? If you want to start with question 1, you can. We're starting with question 1. Do you like to read? Why or why not? If you just say yes or no, I will ignore your answer. Yes, I like to read, but I don't have much time because I have to work a lot. Okay, or I have a lot of work. Okay, both are fine. All right, Harada. Anyone else? Do you like to read? Why or why not? That reminds me, I need to finish my article. I await your answers. Come on, let's go. Get those fingers and thumbs moving. Come on. Yes, of course, I love reading because... Because why? Because is such a fun word. It's the cause of something to be. Why is that thing, why does it be? Be, something is, be is a form of is. It is that, right? So because is the cause of something that causes it to be whatever, right? So the cause that causes it to be enjoyable. The cause that makes it really hard. The cause that makes it not fun. Those are the becauses. Okay? Hello, Unfall. I'm fine. How are you? Armand says, I don't like to read books because I don't enjoy it. Okay. I hope you understand that Armand, reading is not just about enjoyment. Enjoyment is a big part of reading. Okay? And you can find anything to read. Meaning that if you don't like reading, Armand, if you don't like reading, it's because you haven't found something that's good to read for you. For you. Okay? There are billions of books. If you only looked at 100 of them, then you cannot say, I don't like to read. You know? So keep trying. And I would also say that if you don't like to read, that's your choice. That's fine. But it's like choosing to have a disadvantage. Everybody else reads. They have an advantage over you because they read and you don't. So when you say you don't like something like reading, that's choosing to have a disadvantage. You know? Give me just one moment, everybody. My favorite book's name is It's All in the Planet. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Lynn says, I like reading, which makes me imaginative. That's good, yeah. The good stories make happy and sad ones make me sad. Yeah, the good stories make me happy and the sad ones make me sad. Both are good feelings. Yeah, it's good to experience that. Reading is another form of empathy. When you read, you must have empathy because you cannot understand a book if you don't think about what the people are feeling. Right? So reading is a great way to try to learn about different people, different ways of doing things, different ways of thinking, trying to understand someone. Yeah, it really helps you that way. Okay? When you experience good feelings and bad feelings, it helps you understand feelings more. Okay? No, because I am impatient. Well, okay. Again, that's fine. But it's like, as long as you understand that you are choosing laziness. Anyone can read. Babies can read. Jesse, so no offense, but babies can read. And by the way, I want to tell you guys one of my favorite quotes. One of my favorite quotes is from Mark Twain. He's a famous American author. Okay? And he said, there is no difference between someone who can read and someone who can't read and someone who chooses not to read. There's no difference. If you think of a person who cannot read, they're not able to read, you feel sorry for them. You feel sorry for them like, oh my God, I can't believe that you're not able to read at all. You feel sorry for them. So what's the difference between somebody who cannot read and someone who chooses not to read? I feel sorry for both of them. I feel sorry for both of them. Okay? All right, let me keep reading my comments here. I like reading since I was a teenager. I used to read in Arabic only, and I stopped reading for a while, and then all of a sudden I started reading again. Okay, good, Maura, that's fine. Again, good answer, but just, pay a little more attention to your punctuation. Zoe says, I love reading because it helps me gain more indirect experience. It's a way to acquire wisdom without having to experience everything myself. Brava. Yes. I think everyone, when they want to develop their personality, should read books, and you can improve a lot of skills by reading books. I love reading because it is easy to understand and it makes me happy and feel better in my English. Good, okay? My favorite genre is psychology and self-development. We're not there yet, Maura. First, we're still on question one. Still on question one. And am I a music teacher? I am a teacher. I am an English teacher. I'm a music teacher. If I have some knowledge that I can teach, then I will teach it. Okay? For someone who isn't good at reading and can't tell if they are reading correctly, what should they do, teacher? Well, it's kind of hard for me to understand exactly what you mean when you say they're not reading correctly. What do you mean when you say that? You mean you don't understand what you're reading? I don't like to read books because it requires a lot of time, not many time, a lot of time, Tanya. And I can't do anything else while I'm reading. I prefer audiobooks. Okay, that is true. That when you read, you have to focus on the thing itself. And that's why it's good practice. Tanya? Okay, I like audiobooks too, and audiobooks are still a form of reading, I feel. I still feel that's a valid way to experience the book, okay? But it's different when you sit down to do it yourself. One, you're hearing it in your voice, that's a very different experience than hearing it in the voice of someone else. And another is reading without hearing the audio engages your imagination more deeply because you have to assign pictures in your mind to the symbology on the paper, right? Whereas when you hear something, you're connecting the symbology to the audio, not to the words. And that's why it's important for people improving their English. Because if you just hear it, that's one thing. But if you see it, you're connecting the pictures with the words on the page. Okay? And also, Tanya, patience is something that everyone can have, but you must collect it. You have to develop it. So how do you do that? How do you make yourself more patient? By doing things that require patience. So you should do them. You should do them, even if it's hard, even if you don't like it. Do it. Why? Because it makes you a better person. It's that simple. Some things you should do because they make you a better person. Got it? Okay. I read about psychology, law, science fiction, horror, and children's literature. Everything very good. Me too. Yeah. Reading improves, reading helps me maintain my English skill. Good. Yes, I am a music teacher. Yes. Someone who isn't good at reading, yeah. So what I was going to say is, Anfal, ChatGPT is a wonderful coach. Tell it you want it to coach you with your language, coach you with your reading. Okay? You can even read a book, and as you read each chapter, ask it about it. I don't understand this chapter. What happened? I'm confused. Can you help me understand this? What does this word mean? It will do it. Use it. It's like a personal reading coach anytime you want. Okay? Reading is my thing because it makes me zone out of the world, gives me a different mood, makes my imagination work so well, helps me to write well. That's good, yeah. That's right, Mark Twain was a renowned American author and orator. That's correct. And he's one of my heroes. Let's see. Reading and gaining public speaking have been a game changer for me. Good. Yeah. I read Harry Potter today, although I'm not a big reader. All right. Yeah, you know, guys, I don't like to exercise either, but I do it. Does that make sense? Reading is exercise for your mind. Reading is exercise for your mind. Okay? A library is a gym for your mind. All right? So if you go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, do you go to the library 2 or 3 times a week? Understand? All right, well, let's see. Reading is my constant habit. That's a wonderful sentence. To maintain my English, I read because I want to maintain my English skill, because my surroundings, because I don't have English surroundings, or I don't have an English environment. Okay? Yeah. That's a good way to do it too, yeah. His pronunciation of some words is incorrect. Should he continue reading? Yeah. Guess what, Unfall? When I was a boy and I read books, there were many words that I read that I did not know the right way to pronounce it, but I read it anyway. And then later I would mispronounce the word and someone would correct me, and then I learned. Okay? So, I think I remember the word when I think I was a kid and I saw the word ennui. Ennui is a French word. It means like boredom. And it's spelled very strange. It's spelled E-N-N, no wait. I think it's E-N-N-U-I. Yeah, I think it's E-N-N-U-I. And I think I remember the first time I read that word, when I saw that word, I said, I think it's Inui. Inui? Is it Inui? And no, it's not Inui. It's ennui. But that's okay. That's all right. I learned. All right? So pronunciation definitely shouldn't be a reason to not read. You'll figure it out. Okay? And these days, it's easy to figure out. Google it. You can instantly find how to pronounce the word. I never had that. Best I could do was look at a book and find the written pronunciation, and try to interpret that. But you can just Google any word and hear the British pronunciation or the American pronunciation anytime you want. Right? Scarlett, that's a good attitude. That's the way, that's what I teach here all the time, Scarlett. Let's see. You're reading A Picture of Dorian Gray for the second time. Good. Yeah, it's good to read books again sometimes. You pick up on things you didn't the first time. It's like listening to a song. The more you listen to a song, sometimes you hear more. You experience more. Right? Reading's the same. The more you read something, the more you experience a different level of that thing. I'm training my patience by raising 2 teenagers. That's a lot, I guess. That's true. Okay, I'll give you that one, Tanya. I'll give you that one. That is an exercise that does require a great deal of patience. Any teenager. Let's see. Unfall. There is a blog I have, and in my blog I have an article that you should read about vocabulary words. Okay? At the end here, I'll give you my link to go to my blog. All right? But for right now, let's go back to our topic. So we finished our first question. Let's move on to our second question. So our second question today is this. What is your favorite book, favorite author, or favorite genre of reading? What is your favorite book, your favorite author, or favorite genre of reading? Okay? Favorite book, favorite author, or favorite genre? Okay? What is your favorite book, author, or genre? That's the question. All right, and you guys want my blog? I'll just go ahead and pop that up here very quickly. Let me find it here very fast. Where did I put it? Here it is, here. So for the person who was asking about vocabulary, here is the article I was talking about. How to memorize words. Don't memorize words. That's how to do it. Don't do it. Do this instead. Read that article. All right? And my blog itself is right here. Okay, so I'm still waiting for your answers. What is your favorite book? What is your favorite genre? What is your favorite author? The Little Prince, that's a good one. That's a classic one. All right, let's see. My favorite book is Russian novels. Well, that's not one. What Russian novel? There are some that are good, but not all of them. You know? Who do you like? You like Dostoevsky? You like Tolstoy? Who? And what? Which book? You know? Pushkin, Nabokov, who? Solzhenitsyn. My favorite book is The Metamorphosis and The Trial by Franz Kafka. That's good stuff, Mona. My favorite genre is existentialism. Ah, very deep. Very deep. What's your favorite book? What's your favorite author? What's your favorite genre? And why? Tell me why, by the way. All of these questions should have a why. Why is it your favorite book? Why is it your favorite author? Why is it your favorite genre? Okay, give me whys. You like scientific books? You mean nonfiction, like science books? Or you mean science fiction, like fantasy about the future? Anfal, science would be books about biology, chemistry, right? Physics, astronomy. Those are science books. Science fiction would be books by, Asimov or who's the guy? I totally blanked now. Exactly what? Which ones do you like? You like Camus? Yes, I like Camus also. The Great Gatsby, good. You like fairy tales? Okay, I like fairy tales too. Fairy tales from where? Fairy tales are very fun because fairy tales are like mythology. Every culture has some kind of fairy tales. They're interesting to read about. When I was a boy, I had a bunch of books about different mythologies from around the world. Irish mythology and Viking mythology and Norse Viking mythology and Asian Chinese mythologies, and it's interesting to read the stories about whatever creatures they believe, what creatures do they believe exist in real life that don't really, you like all Tolstoy, okay? All right. You have a lot of patience. I like Tolstoy, but I can't finish any of his books. Even I don't have the patience to finish Tolstoy, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I don't. You like Harry Potter because I like the movies. Both are entertainment for me. Okay. All right. There are several reasons why I like the Little Prince series of books. First of all, the story contains profound yet simple wisdom. That's good. Yeah. Uh-huh. Because the soft language makes you feel comfortable. I forgot almost all of them, though. King Lear. Ooh, that's deep. All right. You don't like terror. Okay, I think you mean horror novels. You love psychological literature because it deeply reveals a person. For example, Chekhov or Dostoevsky. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of literature, things like that, the depth of a person and considering psychological aspects, that's possible to do in almost any book. You can read a children's novel and consider the psychological aspects of it. So what I would say is, I like that answer, but what I would say is that when you read, there should be many levels of things that you try to consider. Psychological aspects, sociological aspects, historical aspects, scientific aspects, aspects of hope, aspects of fear, aspects of pain, aspects of dreams. You read, everyone can read the same book but get different amounts of value out of it. So when you read, that's another reason why it's so good to read again. If you read a book again, you can read it and understand it on a deeper level. You can try to think about it on a level that you weren't thinking about it the first time. Okay, but when you read, you're allowed to consider anything, and you should. That's part of the point. Reading gives you perspective, but it only gives you perspective if you look for the perspective. All right, let me say that one more time so everybody hears it. Reading gives you perspective in life, but it only gives you perspective if you look for the perspective when you're reading. So if you look for the psychological perspective, you will find it. Okay, but if you don't, you won't. So the amount that you can learn from a book depends on your approach when you read. Now, when I read, sometimes I don't read for learning at all. I read only for enjoyment, to take my mind away someplace else. And that's fine too. In those moments, I'm actively practicing my imagination. My focus is on not the grammar. My focus is not on interpretation. My focus is on experiencing the novel through my imagination. Kafka's talking about people want you as long as you're beneficial for them. Yeah, that's the nature of, humans can be fickle. Fickle. It's tragic but true. Yeah. And, Flavia and Fassi here are both reading Harry Potter. And that's cool, too, because then when you read something that's a common book that everybody reads, then you have something to talk about. I like this, I like that. I don't like this, I don't like that. Who's your favorite character? Why? What's your favorite part? That's fun. When you can share an experience of a book. Another reason to read. Another reason to read. Scientific books are beneficial to our lives and enrich our knowledge, such as biology, chemistry, biotech, and agronomy. Sure, yeah, science is good. However, Anfal, I think you need to balance it. I think you need a proper balance of fiction and science fiction. So, for example, Anfal, some of our greatest minds, like Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan, brilliant scientist. His mind is like a scientist, right? But he was also a science fiction writer. Isaac Asimov, same thing. The brilliant mind of a scientist. But he wrote about science fiction mostly. So, science fiction also has a lot to offer, actually. Because science fiction is generally all about imagining future possibilities, both good and bad. And that's good for you to consider now. You like nonfiction books, especially those that I can learn something new, like useful knowledge. Okay, good. We all skipped chunks of text while reading Tolstoy. Yeah, I know, right? You like Tolstoy's poems? I don't think I've ever checked out any Tolstoy poetry. I'll have to look up that later. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. All right. You like Oscar Wilde too? Yeah, I like Oscar Wilde. I love a lot of his quotes. He had great quotes, Oscar Wilde. Yeah, A Tale of Two Cities. Yeah, TWO. Yeah. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. You're also drawn to religious books? Okay. Yeah, I like to read different books to see different perspectives also. Yeah. You like, is it Gerald Durrell's books? I don't know those. Gerald Durrell. I don't think I know those. British naturalist and writer. Okay. So he's... Oh, I know this guy. Yeah, I love this dude. But I didn't know he was a writer, too. I've seen him narrate things kind of like David Attenborough. Yeah. Yes, perspective. That's correct. If it's for enjoyment, we can learn as well. Yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. When you read, you learn. It doesn't really matter. Whether you're trying to or not, you will learn. So, yeah, reading is one of those things that even when you learn, or even when you read for enjoyment, you still learn things. Your favorite novel is The Poet, which is a French novel, but I read the translated version by the Egyptian writer Al-Manfaluti. Okay. All right. He managed to make us live within the story with his unique choices of words. It wasn't just, oh, okay, that's interesting. That doesn't happen very often, Hajar. Many times when a book is translated into another language, it loses something. It doesn't gain it. You know? So that's interesting. Yeah. I feel like I'm wasting my time if I read just for the sake of reading. I want to benefit and change myself through knowledge. Okay, but Anfal, wait a minute. Wait, there are some quotes that you need to hear. Wait, I gotta find them though. Hold on. Okay, let's see. I'm looking for a particular quote I gotta remember. Ah, it was Camus. Albert Camus. He said, fiction are the lies through which we tell the truth. Sometimes Anfal, sometimes things are so hard to talk about when you discuss them in reality. It's too hard to talk about in reality. But if you make it fiction, you create a story about this thing. Now you can talk about this thing that's difficult. Okay? So they are the lies that through which we tell the truth. That's what fiction is. They're lies, but they're lies that make you see the truth. Okay? And there's another person who said that reading fiction is an exercise in empathy. It's an exercise in empathy because when you read fiction, you're reading about other people and you have to try to understand them on some level. Do you like them or do you not like them? How do you relate to them? So fiction gives you the opportunity to have experiences in life without the risk. There's no risk to you when you read about the risks of other people. So you can read about things that other people might try or do or say that you would never have the courage to do or say. Now you can experience it through someone else. And you can feel it, and that is important. Okay? Let's see. Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of one of our presidents, observed that fiction allows authors to convey truth without humiliation. So when you can write fiction, you can say things that you can't normally say. Okay? Yeah. Anyway. All right, let's see. The risk is confusing the fiction with the reality. I don't think that's a risk. Philippe, in the history of mankind, how many people have read, let me choose a book, let me think. How many people have read, I don't know, Charlotte's Web? Charlotte's Web is a famous children's book about a spider and a pig. How many people read Charlotte's Web and thought that there were really pigs who speak and spiders who speak? None. So what I would say is there is no risk of confusing fiction with reality. That's only a risk if you have mental problems. I'm not talking about people who have mental problems. If you have mental problems and you read and you believe it's real, then that's because you have mental problems. That's not because of the book. The book did nothing to you. The book has nothing to do with it. You know? If you read a book about science fiction and being in the future, and you think that it's real, the problem is not the book, the problem is you. So you can't be afraid of a book. A book is just a possible reality, a possible world, a possible imagination, a possible dimension of reality. It's just a possibility. That's all it is. Why would you be afraid of a possibility that never actually happened? Because it's just a fiction. You know? And then, when you read them, you get the benefit of having the experience without having the experience. So you can read about what it's like to be a slave without being a slave. That's a good thing to understand. Truly, you can never understand something like that. But if you read about it, it helps you to empathize. Right? If you read about what it's like to feel heartbreak, it helps you to understand heartbreak. If you read about what it's like to experience success or failure through a character, it helps you to understand and empathize with that character. Okay? I have mental problems because sometimes I believe in them that will happen in the future. I doubt that, Asma. I doubt that. To improve English, which is the better one, to read a novel or watch a movie based on the same novel? To improve your English, well, which one is better would be both. Both is better. If the purpose is to improve English, then do both. Read the novel, then watch the movie. That's why, Kosar, one of my favorite books is called The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Let's see. Cristo. This book, great book. It's a book that anyone can like. It has romance. It has two best friends who betray, one betrays the other, a best friend who betrays the other. It has pirates. It has fighting and war, and it has drama with families and rich people and poor people, and it's got everything. It's really a fantastic novel. And then guess what? There are a few movie versions of that novel. One of them is my favorite, but so it's great to read the book and then see the movie. Movies are never as good as the book because a movie is always this long and the book is always this long. Okay? Movies are never as good as the book. They can't be. It's not possible. Movies are too short. They can't make it remotely like the book. It would cost too much money. You know, that could be one beautiful thing about AI. Maybe there will be a new kind of movie that comes out. Movies now have to be 2 hours or 3 hours long. And if they are based on a book, then they always cut a lot. What if you don't have to? What if it's all AI? There is no budget. You don't have to hire actors. You don't have to have a big set. You don't have to have expensive places to shoot the movie and expensive cars and expensive all this stuff. It's all AI. So maybe there will be a new version of a movie that is the entire movie, the entire book in a movie. Every little word, every scene, not lost. Could be. You never know. You have mental problems. You saw my face is not so clear. I feel not good about it. Huh? 我听不懂你说什么. My face is perfectly clear. It's just your connection. Okay? Can you guys see me clearly? Hello? It's blurry. Ah, see? So, who can see me clearly? Who can see me clearly? Mona says it's clear. Koser says it's clear. Amal says it's clear. So many people can see me clearly and some people cannot. So that means that it's not me. That's the connection. It's the connection. I have a 1080 camera and it's on 1080. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next question. We haven't gotten to the third question yet. The third question today is, where did it go? Hold on, let me find it again. Wrong one. Open with photos. Okay, here we go. Here is the third question. The third question is, do you think reading is important? Why or why not? Do you think reading is important? Why or why not? Philippe says, yes, I think books require us to imagine and to open our minds. Unfortunately, I don't usually finish books. Can you give me some advice? Philippe, there are many times I don't finish books too, where I'll start the beginning and then I'll finish it much, like a year later, or 2 years later or something. I think it's better to read something rather than nothing. So if you read half of a book, that's still better than nothing. Okay? Now, what I would say is, Philippe, are you someone, do you appreciate a sense of competition? Do you have a sense of competition, Philippe? No, okay. All right, so let me think of another way to put it then. Philippe, in America, we have something called the Boy Scouts, right? You might have something like that in Brazil too, right? It's like a group of young boys who get together and they learn about things like survival and different skills that are useful to benefit yourself and the community, right? So you learn everything from things like camping to things like swimming or writing or community service kinds of things, right? There are many things that you can learn. And when you learn one, they give you a badge. They give you this little thing that you can put on your uniform, and you can wear it and say, I did this. I achieved this skill. I did archery. I can do that. If you need someone who can do that, I can do that. I achieved the skill of writing. If you need someone to write, I have that badge. I can do that. So what I would say is maybe you should kind of consider reading to be something like a skill or a task that you should finish, because if you don't really have that skill. If you don't complete it, you can't wear the badge. Does that make sense? So imagine that when you finish, you get to wear this badge that says, I have finished. I have that skill. Okay? Try that. Sometimes you just need to change the way you think about it. All right, let's see. Let me see some other answers here. Please be patient. I don't know why, but I don't like to watch movies that are based on novels I've already read. Okay, yeah. Sometimes I don't either because they're usually a disappointment. The movies are almost always a huge disappointment. Yes, because not everyone has the opportunity to travel or meet others, so books are really helpful for us to step out of our home without going out. That's right. Yeah, books are a way to travel. And books, they let you travel. They don't. Let me start again. Books let you travel through the world and through time. So if you read a book about somebody who lives in Brazil right now, that's great. But you could also read a book about someone who lived in Egypt 1,000 years ago. That's like time travel. Books are the closest thing to time travel. You can read the words of someone. Look at this. Plato, The Republic. Do you know when this was written? I can read this now, and I can hear the words of men who talked so long ago. That's amazing. That's insane. It's crazy. It's still the greatest form of technology we have. Reading is still a greater form of technology than AI. AI is amazing, but reading is still a greater form of technology than AI and computers. Okay, reading a book is like a journey. That's right. Yeah. Reading books are very important for growth mindset and developing ideas. If you read the right books, I agree. Yeah. Sometimes we visit a place or discuss a topic with others, but we can't see the whole ideas for that topic. Books can help us see all aspects. Good. Yes. I think reading is very important because it broadens our horizons and helps with self-improvement. Good. Reading is important because it improves your knowledge, language, thinking skills, and reduces stress. That's good, yeah. Depends on what you're reading. Some reading is very stressful. Yes, I do like, because it helps you become a better person. Reading helps you become a better person. It improves your creativity, your knowledge, and your memory. It's also good for concentration. Good. I don't think so. I didn't find the type of books that I like. People just say, this book is good, and I'll try to read it. Again, Philippe, how many books are there in the history of mankind? How many books? So, if I said I don't like food because I tried 4 foods, and those 4 foods were not good, so I don't like food, you would say that's insane. There are millions of kinds of food. Try something else. Right? So, keep trying. Keep trying. We can see all kinds of things and meet all kinds of people in books, ultimately coming to understand human nature. That's right. Yeah. Good. It's like a deep conversation with the author. That's right. Thank you for the gifts, everyone. Can I recommend some books that will help us a lot and be very useful to increase our culture? Amina, I can. I have some books behind me that I did want to just show you guys, just to show you that I do read different stuff. Lots of different kinds of things, I don't read only one kind. I read many, many, many kinds of books. So, yeah. Philippe, what I would say is, I promise you there are books that you will love to read. Love, not like, love. But you have to find them. Okay? And you have to remember, Philippe, books are like art, and museums don't just put any art in the museum, right? When your kid makes something at school, you put it on your refrigerator, right? The painting that your little daughter made, you put it on the refrigerator. But they don't usually put that in the museum. Why? Because it's not special yet. It's common, right? Maybe it will be special one day, but it's not yet, right? So the point is that there are millions of books, but only some of them are truly masterpieces. Only some of them are truly brilliant. Okay? I wouldn't say most of them are trash, but I would say that reading is like, here's the way I see reading. It's like food. Again, I'll compare it to food. I love pizza, and I love pasta, and I love Chinese food, right? But there are many things that I try. I try new things all the time, and sometimes I like them and sometimes I don't. But the experience is still great. The experience shapes me. So I try new things, even things I know I'm not going to like, I try them. Sometimes. Because it's a way to push yourself to be different. It's a way to be more mentally and emotionally and intellectually diverse. Okay? Remember that you are shaped by not only your good experiences, you are shaped by your bad experiences too. So what I mean is when you read some things, if you read one kind of book, like Harry Potter is a fun kind of book that you can read and you can enjoy it, that's great. But if you read something very dark and very upsetting, it's not fun to read about that. If I read about what happened in some tragedy, a war or something, that's not fun to read, but it is life-changing. It's an experience that you can have that will shape you. Okay? You're reading The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck? Okay. There's the Unfollow says, as of 2024, there are approximately 170 million unique books globally with English language books. Okay, well, that's a lot. I don't know if I trust that number, but that's a lot. Yeah. If you want to start a reading journey, I recommend this book, How to Read a Book. All right. Is that real? I'll check that out. So basically, there is no bad food or book from that analogy. Well, there are many things that I have tried, and then I said after I tried it, I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't want it. I'm not going to do it again, right? So I'll try it once, but that doesn't mean I'm going to like it or want to do it again, right? But the point is, in that case, yeah, because experience is part of life. And if you only go through life trying to experience things that you like, then you have a very small view of the world. Let me say that again. If you go through life only trying to experience the things that you like, then your view of the world is incredibly small. Incredibly small. Okay? Take care, Philippe. Thank you, Amina. tells you a specific way to start reading, for example, how to find a book that suits you. Well, that's cool. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to buy that. That sounds like a book I should know about. Thank you for that, Jellyfish. Yeah, I'll check that out. But I mean, the experiences you get trying that in some way, it's a gain. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly right. Yeah. So when you read, you get experience, and that's a gain. Because especially, in life, they say you can learn things in life two ways: the hard way or the easy way. And the easy way is to learn from people who tell you shouldn't do this. That's a bad idea. Like when you say, I think I want to touch that fire. I want to touch that fire. And somebody says, hey, you know what? That's not a good idea. And you say, oh, well, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to touch that fire anyway. That's learning the hard way. Learning the hard way is when you have to find out the hard way. By failing or by hurting yourself or something. Right? But guess what? When you read a book, you can read about the failures of others and experience what they went through without you failing, without you having anything to lose. So, yeah, when you read, you gain the experience of someone else without having to go through the possible real pain that comes with those experiences. So when you read about someone who was abused, let's say you're reading a book about someone who was abused, it allows you to try to understand the feeling of a person who is abused without you ever being abused. It allows you to step inside their mind for just a minute to try to feel what they feel. And if that doesn't change you, then something is wrong with you. That's why it's brilliant. Yeah. Okay. All right. And finally, we have our final question for today. Our final question is my favorite one. I love this question. What's the worst book you've ever read? What's the worst book you've ever read? Tell me what the worst book you've ever read is. We always talk about the best book, but tell me about the worst ones and why. Why was it so bad? Because it was boring? Because it was dry? Because you didn't understand it? Because it was weird? Because the vocabulary was too hard? What was the book that you read that you hated? Maybe you had to read it for school. There were many books that I was forced to read in school that I hated. But I only hated them because I was forced to read them in school, and the way that we read them was not... It was an intellectual torture. It was not education. It was intellectual torture. Yeah. Okay. I'm still waiting. The 48 Rules of Power, that's the worst book you've ever read? Why is it so bad? Tell me why it's so bad. I don't know that one. I often find books like that, any kind of book that says the 10 rules of this, or the 25 rules of this, or the blah blah, like, I usually find those books to be extremely stupid. Like, those are the kinds of books that right now you could ask ChatGPT to write 10 of those books and it would finish them in no time, because they really are kind of like noticing the nose on your face. They're obvious. A lot of them are wisdom of obviousness. Wisdom of obviousness. You know? Like, you shouldn't be mean to people. Well, gee, thanks, genius. That's an amazing wisdom. I can't believe I've never heard that before. You know, a lot of these things are often really silly. And it's funny because the psychology of people are always looking for answers. People always want someone to tell them what to feel, what to do, what to think. So there is always someone who will write what they think and what they feel. People are always seeking meaning. And if you read enough, you can create your own meaning. But those books are meant for people who don't want to create their own meaning. They want someone to tell them what things mean. Creating your own meaning is hard. Creating your own meaning takes time and effort and pain, usually. To create your own meaning, you have to go through things in life. So sometimes we like these books that say, you know, the 10 rules of how to be a better man. You know, and it's okay. There's some things in there that could be beneficial, but the reason you're reading them is the thing you should pay attention to. Why are you seeking out this wisdom from someone else? What is missing from your life that you need their wisdom? And it's not that you can't listen to them. You can. But you should recognize the need. That's what's important. Is sometimes you're looking for answers, and it's important that you understand why. Why are you looking for answers? You're not comfortable. You don't feel good about something. You're not happy the way life is, or you're not happy with the way people describe things. The life, you know? So then you look for somebody who describes it in a way that makes you feel like, I like that. That makes me feel better. And some of that is valuable, but some of that is just seeking meaning on the outside when it can only be found on the inside. Okay, and nobody else wants to tell me about the worst book they've ever read? Nobody else wants to tell me about the worst book you've ever read? What's the worst book? Come on. Nobody. Nobody? I'm surprised. I usually think this is a question everybody wants to answer. Come on, tell me a book you hate. What's a book you hated? I had to read this, but I hated it in school. Come on. I'll be honest with you, I hated The Great Gatsby. Hated it. That was one I had to read for school, and I still think it's terrible. I still think it's pathetic, and it's, you know, it's like reading about the lives of the rich and famous. You know, it's like, such an interesting perspective. So I hated it, but I'm glad I read it. That happens sometimes. It gave me a perspective. I see that perspective now. You know, a lot of people hate Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand is a writer. She wrote The Fountainhead, and she wrote Atlas Shrugged, and I don't know. I think I have about 6 or 7 of her books. And a couple of them I think are horrible. Atlas Shrugged is pathetically horrible and famous. So many people love that book, but I feel like they use it in the worst ways. They use the meanings of that book in the worst ways. On the other hand, one of her other books, I really loved that book. But the meaning that I got out of that book was very different than the meaning many people get out of that book. That happens too. I read that book and I felt like, oh, I love this book because of this and this and this. And then I talked about this book with somebody else. It's called The Fountainhead. And they were like, oh, that book is terrible because of this and this and this. And I was like, I don't know what book you read because that's not what I got. I didn't get that at all. That's not at all how I interpreted that book. All right, well, nobody else wants to tell me about the books they hate. I'm surprised. Did you guys enjoy the discussion today? I know I didn't have anybody on stage. I know. Shame on me. Sometimes I do like to bring people on stage for this stream to answer questions, but today we had a lot of comments. There were so many comments that I just felt like let's just stick with the comments today. All right. Well, I feel like I'm talking to myself now because no one is replying. Is this thing on? Hello? Is anybody here? It's very empty and lonely in here. All right, well, I guess that's it then. I guess that's it. Oh, once again, I don't know if you guys are over in my YouTube channel, but for some reason, again, it says, sorry, live chat is currently unavailable. I don't know why it does that. So if you were talking over in my YouTube, I never saw any of it because it's not available for me for some reason. I don't know why. What happens when I click refresh? Oh, there it is. Flavia. There's Flavia. Flavia's always over there. I don't know why that does that sometimes. Oh well. Okay, well, once again, nobody is talking. Only me. I'm here talking to myself. And generally, that's discouraged behavior. People will think you are cuckoo. People already think I'm cuckoo, so I don't have to worry about that. You see the live chat is active. Well, it is now. It wasn't before. Ciderkin, whoever that is. Okay, I guess I'm going to go because nobody's talking to me. So, thank you guys for watching and following. I will be back. I might be back later in the afternoon to practice some drums. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot one thing. I wanted to show you some books, just to show you some things I read. Okay, so here's how we're going to wrap up today. So I'll show you the books that I'm kind of currently looking at right now. So I'm still trying to finish this one because it's a very difficult book to read called The Etymologicon. It's a book, nonfiction, about the history of words. And I am reading this one still too, called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. It's by Rick Rubin. It's a non-fiction book about... It's like a philosophical book about mindset. It's about your mindset. I just started this one a few days ago called Thank You for Arguing. It's all about techniques of arguing and debate and persuasion from Aristotle and Lincoln and many other famous people. I also like quote books, so I have this one here, 1001 Smartest Things Ever Said. It's a great book that just, you just look through a quote, So Wolfgang von Goethe, since time is not a person we can overtake when he is past, let us honor him with mirth and cheerfulness of heart while he is passing. So you can just look at one sentence and try to think about it. Contemplate those words, His Camus, I shall tell you a great secret, my friend. Do not wait for the last judgment. It takes place every day. That's deep. That's deep. Old age is like everything else. To make a success of it, you've got to start young. That's a quote from Fred Astaire. Cider Kin. You can go to my Buy Me a Cup of Coffee if you want to. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much for saying that. That's very nice of you. Go to, if you don't know my Buy Me a Coffee, look up AFIEC. AFIEC. Search for that in my in Buy Me a Coffee and you'll find me. Okay? Or you can find my profile on HelloTalk and it has a link to it. Okay? I'm also reading, I haven't started this one yet, but I just got this. My mom bought this for me not long ago. It's called The Know-It-All. It's a book about a guy who wanted to become the smartest person in the world. So he read a lot. So it's a book about a guy who read a lot. Okay? And then books from my past. Books from my past. Again, I love Plato's The Republic. If you notice, this book is very old, and look all the writing. I've read this book many times, and I've outlined it many times, and very important book. Here's another quotations book I love, the Oxford Dictionary of Quotations. It's huge. You can see it's a big one. Okay, I have actually 2 copies of this. Here is, I love books about food and cooking, but not like cookbooks. This one is not a cookbook. There's no recipe in this. It's called On Food and Cooking, The Science and Lore of the Kitchen. So this is like a history and science book about cooking and food. Here's another one here. This one is called Molecular Gastronomy. Molecular Gastronomy, Exploring the Science of Flavor. That's a great book. I love this one. Food in History is another. I love food. I love history. So why not put those things together? This is one of my favorite little guidebooks. Oxford. Oxford makes these wonderful little books called A Very Short Introduction. And this one is a very short introduction to Machiavelli, which, if you understand him, then you'll do well, because he was very conniving, very cunning. So if you know how a conniving and cunning man thinks, then you know how to deal with them. Machiavelli. The Complete Works of Shakespeare. I've been looking at this book since I was a boy. Even here's the Dhammapada. And I also have the Bhagavad Gita. And this one is Khalil Gibran, the Prophet. So, I just wanted to show you that I have many books from many different places. Here's even another one. This one, The Mexican Kitchen. This is a book, actually, you see this here? Rachel Gluck. That's my ex-girlfriend. She wrote this. That's her and her husband. I think ex-husband now. But he's a Mexican chef. And they wrote this book together. They had a restaurant. I don't know if they still do. I don't think they still have it. But in Baja, Mexico. And this is a book all about Mexican food. So this book, half of the book is recipes and half of the book is like culture. You know, the traditional culture of Mexico and Mexican food and how it became that way, how it came to be. So I'm showing you this because I just want to show you that there are so many things that you can read. You can read cookbooks. You can read poetry. You can read history. You can read science. You can read science fiction or fiction, historical fiction, romantic fiction, whatever, you know? Here's the thing I'm going to end with. If you could choose the qualities of the last person on earth, if you could choose the qualities of the last person on earth, wouldn't you want them to like reading? So if you had to pick the one person who's left of all of humanity, there's only one person left, and you can choose the qualities that they have, don't you want that person to like reading? There's a problem with the app. What's going on? What's wrong? Are you able to see me or hear me? You couldn't comment. Huh. It's okay now? Weird. I don't know why. Must be something from HelloTalk. But you were able to see me and hear me, right? So I didn't just waste my breath. I hope you guys heard what I was saying about reading. Okay. So I just want you to see that I read many different kinds of things. Okay, I read many different kinds of things. And again, I want you to imagine someone who you admire. And I'm pretty sure that if you try to create a person that you would admire, if you had to create a person you would admire, I'm pretty sure you would make them someone who likes reading. Okay? So just try to remember that. Try to remember that. Okay, guys, I must go. You had problems some minutes ago. Yeah, okay. I don't know why. That's HelloTalk. I had no problems, so I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm going to go, and I might be back later to play some music. Okay, and please remember, when I do, if I am back there behind my drums, then don't ask me questions about English. Okay? When I'm here in front of the camera, I am here and I am teaching English. But if I go back there, then I'm not going to teach English. That's not why I'm there. I'm there to play music. Okay? Yeah, obviously, right? But sometimes when I go back there, people will say, well, you know, please teach English, or can't you teach English instead? And that's rude. I find that to be very rude. You know? I'm here teaching plenty. Okay? You don't get to dictate when I teach. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Maybe later you can watch me play some drums, or I will see you tomorrow on my next live stream. Okay? Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much. I enjoy playing the drums, too. All right. Bye-bye.